Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Three Men in Football. Hello, Daz. Hello, Tom.
Simon, Thomas.
Hi, boys. How are we doing?
Daz, me and you just saying each other's names again.
That's all I wanted to do. I'm just going to say, yeah.
Every episode.
Every episode. I'm a polite kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's just promoting himself again.
I like it, yeah. Just say your name as many times as you possibly can.
Darren's good, isn't he?
Yeah. So we've just been having a conversation which wasn't shared on the recording, and Thomas was trying to figure out if this was made into a movie, who would play him?
No, it wasn't.
It was a clue.
It was Darren.
Simon, let's put that out to the Facebook group and all the people listening. If there was a film made of the three lads and three men, the podcast, who will play each person?
Well, funnily enough, Paul Formby put something on Facebook the other day, which were 3 images of people, celebrities that look like us, and the one that was Thomas, I think, was Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen. And for those who don't live in the UK, he's an interior designer with long hair, looks all beautiful and stuff.
And fancy.
Looking at Thomas's background, he's definitely got a flair for colour.
Well, that's not him, mate. That's Rachel. That's his wife.
Let's not bring it into this.
Brilliant. I love that. I can't believe you were talking about who played in a movie, Tom. You've gone a bit too far. This is going to your head. Just because you're the talent doesn't mean that you can make a movie.
This is out of order. The 2 years have stuffed me up here, right up. Darren brought it up because he thinks we're going to be on the telly. And I said, John Merrick could play you, Simon.
Yeah. Darren thinks this is his big break. It's brilliant.
Which means it's not.
Yeah. Well, you know, the numbers continue to rise. The views have gone up. The feedback's great. All the platforms are getting a hammering. Especially, actually, iTunes and YouTube are where we're getting the majority of our listeners, and maybe a little bit on Spotify as well. But loads of great feedback. Everyone's giving it a go. I spoke to a couple of lads from Wilmslow the other day. I immediately heard their Manc accent, and they started talking about football, and I was right in there. Do you listen to podcasts? You know, why don't you listen to this? But we had a really good conversation. We were talking on the last episode about the restart, and the feeling is that some of the Liverpool fans are the only fans that really wanted to restart because we're going to win the league. These are 2 United fans, and I asked them the same question. They were like, yeah, absolutely, we wanted to restart. Because they're missing football, obviously.
Yeah.
I think now, as you said in the last one, Daz, I think we're ready for it now. We're ready for some decisions to be made and get it rolling, because German football's good, but come on.
Yeah,
Not that good.
Yeah, no, decision needs to be made, whether you agree or disagree, but people can move forward then.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's kick off with some comments from people who've been giving us some feedback this week. So the first one is, Roy Keane is still hard as nails. Copites won't admit it, but he is the hardest man to play in the Prem. And that's from Sean McCusker. So I responded to Sean, and I agreed. I think actually it was. I picked Duncan Ferguson, but I only picked Duncan Ferguson because he battered a couple of burglars who broke into his house. But in terms of the Premier League, Keane, without a doubt, has been the hardest player for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Thomas won't agree because
No,
United.
No chance. He was a fairy.
What would Lawrence Llewellyn-Bowen say in that situation?
Yeah, what would you say?
He likes this red behind me. Hey, and the flowery curtains.
Yes, nice. All right. So next comment is we actually prompted someone to come up with a 7-a-side of hard men in the Premier League.
Okay.
Actually, not quite in the Premier League. Khan was the goalkeeper. Stam, Richard Goff, Graham Souness, Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, and Ferguson. And the comment was, there may only be one of them left on the pitch at full time, but you wouldn't mess with them. And that was from Dean Booth.
All right, yeah. It's interesting he's picked the keeper as well, because I thought Thomas's would catch on.
Well, apparently he's revolutionising football. You don't need keepers anymore. Don't go on about it again, to be honest. We've killed that one, haven't we?
It was 5-a-side. Come on.
You're still getting hammered about it. Okay, so next comment was for you, Thomas. Thomas, why so much hatefulness in you? You were brilliant with Terry, Ramos and Mourinho. Those were some epic moments. But why Cantona? He cannot be hated. He is arrogant, but he's simply French. His collar celebration is just marketing genius. No hard feelings. Love and peace, Thomas. And that was from Matthew Bashu.
Love you too, Matthew. You take it easy. He's a weapon.
Okay, and then we got a couple of really good five-a-side teams in, which I thought I'd read out. So the first one was Igor, who has commented quite a lot on the podcast. And he had Zidane, Messi, Cannavaro, Modric, who none of us talked about, Manuel Neuer, Pirlo, and Robin. So his bench was Pirlo and Robin, which I thought was pretty good.
Who's Neuer?
The keeper for Germany.
You win, Simon.
Anyway, Gavin Beckwith come up with another one as well. Grobbelaar, Roberto Carlos, Alonso, Ginola, Baggio, Fowler, and Bergkamp.
Quality.
I actually really like the Bergkamp shout.
Yeah, and Baggio.
In the Premier League.
Yeah, Baggio shouts good.
Yeah.
He's not very good at penalties, though, is he?
No, apparently not. Skies them. Reminds me a lot of myself. Mine was right down the middle, though, when I missed one. Yeah. Okay, a couple of shout-outs. Paul Formby, who is interacting loads on Facebook, giving us some great feedback. Seems to be enjoying the podcast. Thanks, Paul. Pete D'Souza, or D'Souza.
D'Souza, yeah. Golfing buddy. Yeah, golfing buddy.
Yeah. He seems to be enjoying it as well. And again, giving us some good comments and some feedback. And Andy McFarlane, who has given us some comments over the last couple of weeks. And although he was going to be looking for a new job last week, I let him off and he's still employed, which is good. But he's a good lad. He's from Liverpool, lives in France, listens to the podcast all the time. And actually, he sent a link to the podcast to the head of the supporters club, the Liverpool supporters club in Vietnam last week. So hopefully we might get some listeners in Vietnam, which would be good. Okay, so Daz, you do the introductions this week. What are we going to talk about? What is the topic that we're talking about this week?
So the topic this week, Simon and Thomas, is one we discussed during the week. So Thomas won't know anything about this.
Only he'll have turned it into something else.
He'll have researched something completely different. We're going to be looking at the best England side in our lifetime. We keep saying our lifetime because it makes it more relevant and a little bit more difficult. But the interesting thing is we haven't yet discussed a formation. We haven't yet discussed who's taking control of what department, if you like. Will Thomas choose a goalkeeper? We don't know. So that's what we're discussing today. The best England 11.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to start with a discussion about formation because I think it's important to get the formation sorted. We've all got different views. We know Thomas likes a no one in goal type formation, so we have to take that into consideration. But I'm going to throw one out there. So I really like the 4-3-3 formation, especially if you've got really good fullbacks. So if you've got good fullbacks that can bomb on and you've got solid centre halves, it frees people up right throughout the pitch. Also gives you that ability to have that holding midfielder in front of the two centre halves who really runs the game, helps keep the game ticking over and gives you loads up front. Like Liverpool now, you've got the three forwards and they do damage all the time. So for me, that definitely needs to be in with a shout.
Thomas?
Okay. I really love that formation, and I think that would be a formation if we were going to put a team together with the best players in the Premiership. But for the England side, I have looked at different formations today, and I can only get past two. And I keep on going back to Terry Venables' 3-5-2 and the traditional English 4-4-2. I can't see past the two of them. I know recently we've changed our formation and we play three up top, but I don't think we're very good. And I think our better teams, Euro 96, and different sides over the years, we've either been 4-4-2, a solid 4-4-2, traditional English, or a 3-5-2. So that would be my pick going forward, really.
Well, you haven't picked one, you've said two.
Well, it's up for discussion.
All right, Daz.
So I'm going to pick one of Thomas's because I'll make a decision. 3-5-2 for me, for England and international. I think the five across the middle with I would say the full-backs or the wing-backs we possibly could have in those positions would allow us to be fluent in the game. And I think I quite like a triangle in the middle of the park with the three midfield players there. And I think a top two up front. I think we haven't got that many we've got too many similar strikers. So I want two up front who can maybe one in the hole and one up top, if you like. But I think we looked our best when we played 3-5-2 with Terry Venables, and I think it's something that the centre halves, it gives a little bit of security, but also it gives a little bit of freedom for the two full wing backs.
Yeah, so I quite like the 3-5-2. The only thing I'd ask a question is, do you think that formation is one of the things that's held us back? Because we were always kind of nearly men certainly in our lifetime. Sometimes we've been absolutely useless, but we've only ever got close, and we've never really been able to get over the line. Is it the formation that holds us back? Because when you look at some of the other teams that play more creative football and play a better brand of football, if you like, they generally don't play that formation.
Thomas, do you want me to have a go?
You know, I disagree. I think the only thing that's let us down over the years has been our mentality. I think we've just bottled it. When it's come to the big pressure moments, we haven't turned up, or we haven't took that chance. You know, when you go back to Euro 96, we were about a foot away, Gaza sliding in at the back post to put it in, to beat Germany. We lost on penalties. You look at the recent World Cup, we were nearly men against Croatia again, and we just didn't. We took the lead, and then mentally we just couldn't cope. I don't think it was anything to do with the way we set up. I don't think it was anything to do with the 11 that we had out there, even though some other teams did have better players when we matched them up. I don't think it was anything to do with the formation. I just think our own mentality over the years has let us down.
Okay, how about you, Daz?
I would, for me, for internationals, I think when you play four at the back, I often think if you play high full-backs in international and you play four at the back, you can get caught out. You're playing against top players. I think with the three at the back, you allow to have maybe two centre-halves who can play with the ball, who can bring it out. I think for me, I would like to see two footballing centre-halves playing three at the back and one almost traditional centre-half. And I think we can overrun. If you play five in the midfield, you can almost overrun other teams. Yeah. You get width through your wing backs, and I think your three in midfield, certainly the three I'm thinking of, you're one of them's licensed to really push on and join at the top two, and you can either have your triangle where two at the base and one at the top, or two at the top and one at the base. Yeah. So I think it gives us that fluidity that I think England have always lacked fluidity. We've never seemed to have a plan B. This formation, with the right players, you can switch formations throughout games depending on what's happening. I think 3-5-2 allows that.
Well, you know that you're talking about the three in midfield and which way you can have them round. I thought Gerrard was at his best when he almost played both positions. He played both ways. So he'd be in behind the midfield and then he'd be up supporting the forwards. Now, you can only do that when you're at the height of your fitness and the height of your abilities. But that's how he ran games, because he was everywhere. He was all over the park. And I think, obviously, he will be one of the people we talk about. I
think, though, for me, side, the problem with Gerrard and England was he was always on the left at most. You know,
yeah.
And I think this formation would have suited him particularly down to the ground, because I think we need to play our best players in those best positions. I think we're trying to sometimes fit players in, and it doesn't always work. You have to make decisions as a manager or as a coach. And I think over the years we've tried to fit players in. That's not quite worked.
All right, Tom. So Darren's going for the 3-5-2. Are you going to go with the 3-5-2 or the 4-4-2?
I would prefer 4-4-2, but if it's 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, I'm going to have to go 3-5-2.
Okay, so I will also go with the 3-5-2. I actually like that formation because it gives us what I think we definitely need as an England team in the middle of the park, that three in the middle. I also think that you get a similar kind of setup with the wing-backs because they play both ways. So I think the way Liverpool have made it work in the last couple of years is our full-backs play like wing-backs. Now, we get caught out at times in behind, especially in behind Trent. But one of the great things about Liverpool is their full-backs run the game, and the full-backs have got so many assists because they're so far up the park. I think if you look at the England team, then playing those wing backs in across the middle actually probably works better. So I'm going to go with the 3-5-2 with you two. We've agreed.
Wow, that didn't take too long.
That's the second time that's happened in like 8 or 9 episodes.
Started to get emotional here, so
yeah, I'm a little bit worried. Okay, so what we're going to do as well is we're going to split up the team, because the problem is that we'd be here all day because we just agreed on the formation, but that took us 10 minutes. So we'd be like this for every player. So what we're going to do is we're going to split up the team, and one person's going to take defence, one person will take midfield, and the other person will take the forwards. And then what we're going to do is we're going to force Thomas to take a goalkeeper because we know he doesn't like picking a goalkeeper. So whatever you end up with, Thomas, you're picking the goalkeeper. You've got no choice. You've got to pick one. Don't be putting a forward in goal.
No.
Tom, Si, can you imagine goalie Mendes at international level?
Yeah, I've done my research. All right, I've got a list.
All right, so I think the flipping the coin worked so well on the last one because I won. But what I'm going to do this time to make it easier is I'm going to put my coin in one of my hands, and then I'm going to get you to pick. Right?
Si, just on that, how are you going to choose? Because you know which hands are coin.
He gets left with what's left, doesn't he?
Yeah. You two.
All right, then. I'll let you off because I know what you're like.
Yeah. I'm just helping you two out. So whoever gets it gets the choice. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
So you take one hand each. Okay? Right or left?
Thomas, you call.
I'm going to go left. Your left or my left? Right? No, your left or my left?
That's me left. That's me right.
I want your left.
Okay. Dad, you're going right, yeah?
Yeah.
He's got no choice.
How many choices do we get?
That is the winner.
That's in.
So, Darren, you get the choice.
I'm going to go with midfield.
Oh, look at that. See, and that's a big thing for Daz because he's a centre-half.
Yeah, I'm shocked there you haven't gone with the defence.
Well, I once went over the white line at the halfway line and quite enjoyed it. So I'll go with the midfield there.
Okay, Thomas, you're next.
I'll have the defence.
Okay, and I'll have the strikers. I love it. So Thomas, you've got the keeper, 3 defenders. Don't forget the keeper.
Okay.
All right?
I'm ready. Important. I'm ready, yeah.
But Simon, can we have an input? Surely we can have an input.
Yeah,
hang
on. So the rules are we're going to have a conversation about all the players. We're going to try and agree them. But the person who is running that department of the team gets final say. And then we end up where we end up because otherwise we'll be here all day trying to agree. So we're going to start out with Thomas giving us some suggestions for goalkeeper.
Okay, so I have done for my squads right the way through. I've just picked players that I thought I've got a chance of making the team, and then I've got also some nearly runs that I've just added down. So I'll go through the nearly runs that are not going to be up for selection. We've got the current England number 1, Jordan Pickford, little dinosaur arms. He's absolutely useless. We've got Jack Butland, John Ruddy, Fraser Forster, and then going into me top 5, we've got David James, Paul Robinson. I think they wouldn't make it. And then my top 3 over my time of playing is David Seaman, Peter Shilton, and Joe Hart.
I love the fact that was through my time of playing, as if
watching, as in watching.
Thomas, you're not that much younger than us. You keep throwing this age thing in.
He's ageist.
He is ageist.
I am, yeah.
All right, but
watching football later.
You've missed one, and maybe this is because of age. Is Ray Clements?
I'd never seen him play. He's too old for me.
But I mean, for me, he's probably as good as it gets.
But did you see him play? Was he still playing?
Yeah, he was. 83.
I see. Was he? Okay, so I apologise for that. I didn't.
I was only young, but yeah.
But yeah, I think though. I think sometimes our judgment's clouded with Shilton because towards the end of his career, he shouldn't be playing for England. But actually, he can't jump. But actually, in the early 80s and late 70s, he was the keeper. You know, he was top draw.
I think it's got to be between him and Seaman, hasn't it?
I think so.
It definitely is. I picked up a couple of stats for this one, and it helped me with my decision, or who I think should be the number 1. So I didn't see a lot of Shilton, apart from the World Cup that he was in, the Hand of God. Peter Shilton only made 1 penalty save from 15 Now, David Seaman actually won a couple of shootouts, didn't he? And was very good. I know he got caught out very badly by Neymar's free kick in the World Cup, the quarter-final of the World Cup. But I always liked him as a goalie, David Seaman. I always thought he was very difficult to beat. He was very good one-on-one. And he put it, like we discussed in the last podcast, he put a lot of pressure on forwards taking penalties because you always thought you had a chance of getting there. He always dived the right way.
That was embarrassing against Neymar, though, wasn't it? I mean, you didn't see that coming.
It was awful. It was bad. But I think every goalie makes mistakes. And I think overall for his career and for what I've seen, and he's certainly been the best England goalkeeper while I've been watching football. So I think, I would pick David Seaman to start and go.
What are you thinking, Daz?
Yeah, I would probably, it's between Shilton and Seaman myself, but I think, judging on what you've just said stats-wise, I think we probably didn't see the best of Shilton in our lifetime, but I do think Seaman was probably the best goalkeeper, and he was called safe hands until he made those mistakes. And but I do think Seaman for me has to be number one.
Okay, yeah, let's go with Seaman then.
Are we locking him in?
Lock him in.
Yeah, lock him in.
Seaman is locked in.
Si, is this a new feature? What you're going to show, or are we going to do at the end?
What we'll do is we'll get all the players and then we'll fill it in at the end and show everyone what our team looks like.
Oh, I tell you what.
Yeah,
sounds great.
All right. So Thomas, in fact, Daz, do you want to go with a midfielder?
Okay, so
let's change it up. Let's
I like what you've done there, Si.
Fresh.
Yeah. Well, for me, for any England midfield, there's got to be Gaza. And I think for me, I would play the triangle with one at the bottom and two at the top. And I would have Gaza as one of the two at the top. Okay,
got you.
So I'd have almost like a quarterback, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'd have two in front of him. And Gaza, for me, was, I'd argue the best England midfield player.
Yeah.
I just think he had everything about him. He could play, he could pass, he could score goals, he could upset players. So
he was so good to watch as well, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He looked to enjoy the game as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thomas, what are you thinking with Gaza?
I love him. He's a wasted talent. He could have gone on to become the best player in the world. He was so good. I'd love to go on the air with him. I think he's just absolutely...
Even now?
Yeah, he's cool. He's just quality footballer.
Yeah.
And I just love the way he could drop his shoulder and just ghost past people. I've got to disagree with Darren slightly to say I don't think he's England's best ever midfielder. And I have me red blinkers on because I don't think.
No, Tom, let's not say you've got blinkers on.
I don't think he was better than Steven Gerrard, but certainly he's on par to get in that team, and I wouldn't begrudge you picking him for the midfield.
As a football fan, non-Liverpool fan, Gaza for England, we didn't see the best of Gerrard, and I think that's the difference.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I mean Gerrard was brilliant, and I think he's got to be in consideration. But Gaza for England dominated. He absolutely dominated games, and the fact that we didn't win the World Cup where he slipped in at the back post, that year was the one where actually you think we should have won it.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. I'm good with Gaza. Gaza's a good one.
Is he locked in?
He's locked in. Thomas, what are we going for in the in defence then?
Oh, I didn't find this very hard, if I'm being honest. He was on my wall of hate a couple of weeks ago, and I dislike him very much. But as a footballer, he's absolutely outstanding. He was a rock for England and for Chelsea. It'd have to be John Terry. I think he's quality. He was great in the air. He led from the back. He put his body on the line, which is expected of a defender, but he was always there. He was
you mean the John Terry position?
You're going on the wall with Martin Tyler. Yeah, it was quality, but I think he was very underrated as a footballer. His quality of passing out from the back was very good.
Yeah.
You could spray a ball across the field, out to full-backs, out to your wingers. I think he was very underrated. He was very, very strong in the air, and he dominated. He was an all-round real quality centre-half.
He was.
Thomas, can I ask you a question then?
Go
Are
on.
you going to be playing him in the centre of the three?
I don't know, because we'll put that up for discussion, because I don't know whether to have a footballer, more of a footballer to play the centre of the three and have two outright bullies either side, or to have one bully right through the middle and possibly two footballing centre halves either side. So it's more, what do you think?
So, I was a bullying centre half. You know that. You've managed me. I was the tough guy of the team, and anyone will probably vouch for that.
Hard man does hard
a hard man of the teams, yeah. But I think the where you're playing, Terry, is quite crucial to depend on who else you're going to pick. Because, I look down and I think we've been blessed with centre-halves, if I'm honest with you, over England. You look at people like Terry Butcher. You look at people like Rio Ferdinand, Sol Campbell, Tony Adams, Des Walker.
Yeah, brilliant player.
Quality players. And Terry was a quality player. But I think what's really key is where you're going to play him.
Yeah, they're all on the list, Darren. It just depends on whether you want me to carry on and pick my other two centre-halves to go along with them, and then see whether or not you agree with how I'm looking at it.
Let's save it, and then we can work out where they play afterwards, because I think the formation is really important. And when you're playing a three at the back, you're right, Dad, you've got to get that right. But let's do it one by one and see where we end up. All right, so let me throw a forward into the mix, and for me, it's this appears like a no-brainer. Is Alan Shearer?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't know how he couldn't be in an England team if you were picking the best England team of our lifetime. There's so many good England strikers, but I think it's him and then everyone else. Everyone else goes into who plays the second forward, because he is so good. The other thing that we have to think about as well is whether you're playing an out-and-out striker and someone in the 10 role, or you're not, because you've got the three in midfield. So actually, you're playing with two out-and-out strikers. And I'd argue that if you're playing the three in midfield and you do it the way, and again, this is down to you, Daz, whether you play it with the midfielder or the attacking midfielder ahead of the two kind of conventional midfielders, then you probably wouldn't play the number 10 role.
See, for me, I quite like the diamond in the middle.
Yeah.
So I think I like Shearer. I think what Shearer brings is a complete package. I think when you look at other top strikers, you had Lineker. Lineker was a traditional, what we call a 6-yard player. Anything in the box, he'd finish. Outside the box, not particularly strong. I think Shearer gets you all types of goals. I think that's what makes him stand out than others. We had other players who could possibly play that role was similar. Was like to Fowler, was like some Owen, like some Keegan. But what they don't all have the complete package what Shearer had. Yeah. And I think that's the difference really for me. Thomas?
Yeah, he's brilliant. Well, let me just share this formation so then we can play with it, because I think it might be easier when we can see it, so then we can see where we end up. Okay, so you should be able to see now on the screen the formation. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Up here now.
Okay, so I've got Seaman in goal.
Yeah.
We'll put Terry in there.
Yeah.
And then we've got Gaza here.
So, Simon,
yes.
I'd prefer it was a quarterback here and those two up here. So, change the triangle round.
So, like a sweeper?
No,
here. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, move them up.
That one back. Yeah.
It's like watching Sky Sports, this, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, for me, I'd put number 10 in the hole and put Shearer up top on his own. Okay. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I'm good with that. But then this role, this holding midfield role, and number 6, is such a vital role.
Yeah, and I'd bring in 5 and 9 back a bit, because that worries me.
Yeah, yeah, but you haven't crossed the halfway line for years, Daz.
See, I think we're lacking now. I think we're lacking formation-wise. I think the 10 should be up alongside Shearer. I think you should revert it back to the way it was, and have the 2 just behind the halfway line. We've got so much strength and depth in the wing backs to get forward and attack. I think you should have 1, maybe let it be Gaza if you want it to be, in the top of the diamond, and have your 2 holding midfielders to cover, because you only got 3 at the back, and the way that we're going to look like we're going to play. Our two wing backs there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to get forward and attack and create our chances. We're leaving huge holes behind to only have a quarterback role, as you're saying, or a deep lying midfielder or a defensive midfielder.
But Thomas, the difference is that what you're talking about there is a 5-3-2. So if you're talking about wing backs, then you're talking about 5 at the back with wing backs.
Yeah.
But I think what we're talking about here is wingers, because your three defenders are split in the park. Now, they won't play like fullbacks, the ones that are either side of the centre, but they certainly won't play as wing backs. They're further up the park.
Oh, well, I've got mistaken at the beginning, and I definitely have gone with wing backs. I assumed it would be wing backs myself.
I just think it's a subtle difference between a 3-5-2 and a 5-3-2.
I think also what you've got to be careful of, you don't get too bogged down on what they look like on the pitch in terms of these figures. I think it's very fluid how you're going to play. Yeah. But I think for me, when we're successful in the Saturday Venables, this little diamond in the middle is crucial because it's fluent. And what Barcelona and the top teams do is those 3 or 4 players in that middle, that diamond, are very fluent. And what they do is they change and interchange all the times. And so you've got your formation as such, but actually you're allowing players to move around on the pitch, knowing that everyone else will cover.
Yeah.
And I think what we get bogged down in coaching in this country, in England in particular, is that structure and people don't move from it. When actually the best Liverpool do it very well with the front 3. Yeah. And Man City do it well where they pack in midfield and then they play off that and everyone moves.
Yeah, I do think that this style is adaptable as well. So depending on who you play in what we've got, the 9 and the 5 role, which obviously isn't right, but the 9 and the 5 role on here that will dictate how your team plays as well. Because if you play natural fullbacks or natural wing backs, then they'll be more defensive. If you play wingers, you become more attacking. And I think that's where at times your wingers generally are your scapegoats. They're the people who generally get taken off in a game because it's easy to make that decision. But if you start defensively, let's say you're playing against someone like a Brazil or an Argentina and you want to shore the game up a bit, you'd probably start with those wingers a little bit further back, and you would select players that more naturally were defensive. Then once you get hold of the game, you might want to change that up and then push them forward. And either push the players who are on forward or bring on players that can play further forward. Yeah. But again, that's the point of us having a line each, is that we can we decide what the final formation looks like. So Daz, give us another midfielder.
Well, we've mentioned them already. Who I think plays this position superb. I'd have Stevie G in the number 6 role there in the sort of, only because one, he's clever. He's such a clever player. He can knock balls at any distance, and he's got an engine on him as well. So if we are, thanks, Si, that was freaking me out. Actually.
I've got to do that. I mean, it's not right, is it?
Moving the number 9 up top for those people who are just listening, not watching. But for me, I think Gerrard's that type of player, and he should have been playing this role for England for years. This should have been called the Gerrard role for me, because he can dictate games from there. He can play those him and Beckham played that diagonal ball superb, and I think he can tackle, he can head, he can cover, he's got pace, everything you want in that number 6 role. Stevie G's got.
Yeah. So what we've got for the people who can't see the screen is we've got Gerrard in a holding midfield role. So he's like the quarterback of the team, and I actually agree with you, Daz. I think that was where he did his best work. I do think you have to account for the fact that he's generally got more energy than anyone else on the park. So he's going to want to push the game forward as well. So the only challenge with that, and Liverpool have come a cropper with this a few times, is that he's so energetic that managers had to hold him back. Apparently he did his best work under people like Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez, because they coached him into the types of runs he was making and the energy he was putting into the game, and where he should be economical with his energy, because he was just all over the park. So you've got to keep that in mind as well in the formation.
But I think if you have this formation, what it allows you, depending on who the other player is in number 8, it allows that, I keep talking about the fluency. So sometimes if Gerrard goes on one of the runs, then number 8 just sits in.
Yeah.
It's being clever in your play. And it's, Gerrard's not going to make runs every single time, but he's going to make enough runs for people to think, he's come from deep here. Where's he come from?
Yeah.
And I think we've got to be clever. And if we're playing those wingers, if they're playing high, Gerrard can get across the pitch better than anybody.
All right, well, let's go with the a right or left. Daz, give us a winger.
So this one, you might think is a little bit orthodox on the left, and the number 5 role, which is on the left sort of wing. I think in my lifetime, we struggled on the left. I think we've struggled to get a player on the left who's got an engine room, who can go up and down, who can tackle, abundance of energy. And I've toyed between a couple of people, depending on the formation we were going to play. I wasn't sure, but I'm going to go for Ashley Cole.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going for Ashley Cole is because some of the other players I had, like John Barnes, for example, who I think is a brilliant footballer, I'm not convinced he can do what maybe we ask him to do. Class player. But I think in this formation, Barnes would be great in 4-4-2, in my opinion. I think this one allows a bit more of an engine room. And
yeah,
I think
he doesn't work in that formation at all because Barnes wouldn't do the defensive work that you'd need him to. But then, do you not think you're going too far the other way with with Ashley Cole playing as a winger, if you like?
No, I don't think I am. I think we can take the shackles off him. And what he did at Chelsea, and you've seen him do it for England time and time again, he was up, and quite often he was a winger when he played. I think this is the one position where I think we lack in England over the years. What are your thoughts? Thomas, who did you have?
I had John Barnes in this position. I was actually going to pick Ashley Cole as the number 2 position in my back 3 there because I was worried about the pace and only having 3 at the back. So I was going to play Ashley Cole as number 2. So I'll just go 3 orthodox central defenders. He'd always be in my team. I think he's been England's left back, best left back we've ever had. He has got an unbelievable engine. His tackling, I mean, that game he put in against Cristiano Ronaldo was one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen from a fullback. He was just outstanding. I think the one thing let him down, he didn't get enough goals. Because he got a lot of opportunity and he got a lot of space for England and for Chelsea. He didn't do enough with the ball in the final third. And I don't think his crossing is up there with the true greats that are going to play on the wing or that we possibly could have put in there. But he's a solid member of the team, and I would have had him in the team. So, I'm not going to disagree.
Thomas?
Yeah.
When we finish, we can maybe negotiate that, whether he plays defence or there.
You sounded very American then, does defence.
Defence. We're on the offence now. We're on the offence.
Okay, so Thomas, give us another defender.
Simon, just hold on. Who were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I had Chris Waddle and John Barnes, but I think they only work in a 4-4-2. I can't see them working in a 3-5-2 because you're going to want them to do too much defending and it's not going to work. There's probably other players that have played fullback that you could get in there, but he was good going forward. He was good at defending. He was fast, played the game well. I agree with Thomas. He did really well. Probably could have done a little bit better, a little bit more with the ball, attacking and scored more goals. But other than that, he was fantastic. He'd be in my team. Yeah, I like it.
And if we were playing, where I've got myself mistaken at the beginning, if we were playing a 5-3-2, he'd definitely be me left wing back. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Without doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So, Thomas, give us another defender.
Okay. I had quite a few. So I had Tony Adams. I had Terry Butcher, Mark Wright, Des Walker. But I couldn't look past Rio Ferdinand. A ball-playing centre-half. He just quality on the ball. Always dead calm, composed. He read the game brilliantly. He had a turn of speed, which people didn't give him credit for. He was really quick. He covered the ground great. He also covered the ball over the fullback. So when the ball was played from deep and over the fullback's head, he read it really well and covered the space in behind into the corners to let the team get back in, and he'd slow the game down, slow them down, keep them pinned in the corner. He was just a quality player. He could tackle, he could pass. He had some goals in him as well. All round, really good centre half. So Rio Ferdinand would have to.
Yeah, I don't even think that's a discussion. He's probably our best ball playing centre half we've had in our lifetime.
Yeah, I agree.
Daz?
Yeah, great for me.
Okay, which side do you want him on?
I want him on the right at Terry. Oh no, he can go on the left. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's going to get moved anyway now with me next pick. So
is it? This one's going to get moved.
Terry's getting moved. So Terry can go on the left and put Rio on the right.
Okay. So Terry goes on the left and Rio goes on the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to put someone in the centre.
Okay. I see what you're doing there.
Terry goes on the left.
Left, yeah.
All right, okay.
And Rio goes on the right.
That's right.
Tell you what, from our first podcast, we've gone very high tech, Si.
Well, Daz, you've got to step it up, haven't you? I don't know whether I'd call this high tech though.
Well, I have paper and pen.
Yeah. I just wanted it to be visual, Daz. I'm just trying to step it up a little bit.
The people on the Apple watching this or listening to this on iTunes is going to be like, "What's going on?"
Yeah, we'll walk them through it as well.
It's just like when Carragher first went to Sky and he was working the Sky pad and he was all fingering thumbs.
It's similar, yeah. Definitely. All right. So I think the forwards, we probably want to leave till the end until we've sorted the midfield out, because who we play in that 10 role is driven by who we have across the middle. So let's go with the other side, Daz. Let's go with the right-hand side of midfield, that kind of forward playing wing back, if you like.
Okay, so for me, he's similar to Gerrard, and he's probably the best crosser I've ever seen. It's got to be Beckham for me. Beckham's energy, he would get up and down there, that not a problem. He didn't have a turn of pace, but I do think what he brings to a side is phenomenal, and I think he has to go on the right.
Well, here's the great thing about that formation as well, is that if you play against the conventional 4-4-2, which a lot of the time you will in world football at national level, then having the three in the middle is going to drag one of the midfielder, the wide midfielders in. And if he gets a yard of space, he's going to get out to his feet, he's going to get it in the box, and then, we've got Shearer on the end of him. So I think that works really well.
Yeah,
Thomas,
I agree.
Do you have anyone else for the right?
I had Trent. I had Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I was going to go 5-3-2, and he would have done the same thing. He would have done the same thing. Give us a bit more at the back, I think, than Beckham, but he wouldn't work as hard. I mean, no one worked as hard as Beckham.
Yeah.
Another one putting great balls into the box, loads of energy, pressures to play. But Beckham's a great shout for there. I don't know who else we had on there. Do you know who I had on my list? He wouldn't have made the team. Steve McManaman.
Yeah, I had him as well, yeah.
Yeah, I had him, yeah.
I was watching a game of Euro 96 today.
Yeah.
The Dutch game, and McManaman was outstanding in that game. And I think because of him moving to Madrid and going on the Bosman, I think a lot of Liverpool fans disregard how good a player he was. He was outstanding.
Yeah, he was a great player. But again, I think if you compare Trent to Beckham, then I think Trent will be an absolutely world-class player. He's already close to it now. He's a young lad, but he's a quality footballer. But you just haven't seen enough of him yet. And then if you compare him to Beckham to McManaman, Beckham impacted the game a lot more than McManaman did, even though McManaman did great for England and Liverpool. So yeah, I would definitely go with Beckham on the right.
Just on Trent there for me, I think Trent's all about the formation. I think it works brilliant at Liverpool because of the formation they play. I think in an almost conventional 4-4-2, I think you restrict Trent a little bit, because I think what Liverpool do is that they don't have what traditional wide players in that 4-4-2. They bring them in. And so that allows the width for Robinson and for Trent to go out wide. And Trent does that all day long.
But I think naturally, Trent is going to naturally move into midfield at some point in his career. I think he's got the ability. Gary Lineker's crying out for every time I watch Match of the Day. And he's tweeting about it. Why isn't Trent playing midfield? I think going forward, with his energy. I think he can impact games as much as or more than Beckham going forward.
Well, I disagree. I don't think he is a midfield player.
Okay.
I think he's a wing back all day long. And I think when you put him midfield, sometimes when you look at players, you think they can move into positions, but actually it's a different game altogether sometimes. And I think what Trent's very good at is having a game in front of him.
Yeah, he does get caught in behind a fullback though, does. So I almost think at times, and maybe this is just experience in the game, but he gets dragged towards the ball and he leaves space. And I think he leaves it because he's confident that he can catch the winger. But there are amazing wingers around, and at times he's being caught in behind. The ball gets played in behind him, and because we're playing a flat back four, well, it's not even a flat back four because we're playing the fullbacks forward. We get caught out in behind.
Yeah. So for me, I think that's why he would work brilliant in a five where him and Robinson, and you have three at the back.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Just playing a little bit.
The
deeper.
great thing is that at Liverpool we don't need to do that because we've got Verge. So Verge is like having three players at the back.
It
anyway.
must have been what it been like playing with me all them years, you know.
Yeah, you won more headers, Daz.
Yeah. Again, this tough centre half persona I've got.
Okay, so let's go for the other centre half, Thomas.
The other centre half is going to be Sol Campbell.
See, I think this is a really difficult one.
It is difficult. I have got called out a little bit here, so I'm just looking through my list. And apart from Tony Adams, who could have gone in there, I didn't really have a lot other than Des Walker, and I didn't see enough of him really to make a decision on whether or not he's good enough. And what I did see of Sol Campbell, I really liked. So he's a massive dominating centre half. We've already talked about Terry, underrated as a football player. You know, he can play football out there from the left, and Ferdinand can play on the right. Two quality footballers, and we've got a yard dog, rock solid centre half for anything that comes down the pipe. I think it worked well. Yeah,
so he was definitely on my list, but between him and Adams, I think Adams has got the lot. He's solid, he's big, he wins it in the air, he can pass a ball. Probably doesn't have the energy of Sol Campbell, but certainly is a contender. That's what you think?
Yeah, I struggle with these two, to be honest with you, which one to go with. I mean, there's other players who I think, like, I would love to have seen Ledley King get more games, but his knees had gone.
Yeah.
I think an injury's caught up with him. I think Des Walker brings pace to the back three there. But I do think if you're looking for a leader, if you're looking for someone to rally the troops, I think Tony Adams is your man. If you're looking for someone who's a bit more, I'm just going to get on with it and I'll play my game, then Sol Campbell is the person to go with. You've got Terry there. Is he the leader if you look at those back three?
Yeah.
So I think it depends on how you see that. I was looking at that. I liked the number 4, the one in the middle, to be the leader. If I'm honest with you, I think that's why I will go with Tony Adams.
Thomas, your last call, mate.
It's not your pick. We're having Sol Campbell.
All right, let's go with Sol Campbell. I don't think that's a bad compromise. I think Campbell is a great player. Did great for England. Did amazing for Arsenal. Although he definitely was an odd cat, wasn't he? He was a bit of an odd individual. All right, Daz, you've got one more in centre mid, so part of the diamond, if you like.
Yeah. Toyed with a few people here, to be honest with you. I think mentions for midfield would be Glenn Hoddle as a mention. Yeah. I think Robson as a mention.
But he's not. But
he's not that
type of, he's not that position, though, is he?
No, he's not. But I think he did well for England. What I would say is, I want a footballer in there, and there's no better footballer than Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
I
think the only problem with having Scholes in there, well, is it a problem? Because you've got Gazza in there, and Gerrard doesn't hold his position that well. When he plays that holding role in midfield, you'd have to be really careful with those three, wouldn't you? You'd have to coach them to do it. And wasn't that one of the problems we had with England for years? Is that we had that whole Lampard-Gerrard thing, and I don't know. I think Lampard is definitely another shout for a potential on the right.
I just think for me, Lampard hasn't got the footballing ability, and I'm not knocking him. I think he was a really good player. But I think when you're talking about top draw players, Scholesy, Gaza, Gerrard, you tell me a better midfield.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, you've also got Beckham there that if Scholesy and Gazza's pushed on is clever enough just to tuck in.
Okay, let's lock him in. Scholes is the right side of the three in midfield, or three in the centre of midfield. So I think that works really well. So the formation is pretty solid. So we've got Seaman in goal, Terry left side of the three defenders, Campbell in the middle, Ferdinand on the right. Gerrard holding midfield, Ashley Cole out on the left of midfield, Gazza and Scholes playing as the conventional midfielders, if you like, Beckham on the right, and then we've got Shearer up top. So I think this number 10 role is a really difficult one because there's loads of decent players, but the problem is that we've got a lot in England history. We've got a lot of 9s. We haven't got a lot of 10s. So you've got Lineker, Fowler, Wright, Cole, Owen,
Les Ferdinand.
Yeah.
So I think the contenders for that number 10 role are Teddy Sheringham.
Oh, yes.
Very different type of player. And Wayne Rooney.
Can I throw another one in who had a great partnership with Lineker? Beardsley.
Yeah, I had Beardsley on the list, but I think if you...
I don't think he's at that class that Sheringham and Rooney are, but I do think
quality player, yeah.
Worth a mention in that hole and role.
He's also good as a quiz question, Daz. You might want to bring that one out at some stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Beardsley was a great player. I loved him. Outstanding for Liverpool. But again, if you compare his career to Rooney's, whether it be club or England, I just think Rooney comes out on top. But I really like Sheringham as well. Sheringham's a quality footballer.
Yeah.
And everyone who played with him would tell you that he was the most talented person in the team. Do you know what we didn't talk about as well? Matt Le Tissier.
Yeah, I love Le Tissier. And the reason I didn't put him anywhere near this because I would like to have seen him more at international level. And I think it's a crying shame that he didn't play more.
Yeah, he was a great player. And again, same thing. When you listen to people who played with him, they talk about him. You know, he scored a couple of really good goals. One of them was against Newcastle, actually. Great goal. And then you'll hear Alan Shearer talking about him, and Shearer will tell you that he used to do that every day on the training ground.
Yeah.
That was just normal for him. Okay, so I think that it's in our lifetime, I think it's got to be Rooney, hasn't it?
Definitely. It's got to be Rooney. The only thing I thought about the top two was Rooney's England's all-time leading goal scorer, and then it's Gary Lineker. And then Shearer's a little bit off. I know he was an anonymous pick early on, but if you're looking for actual numbers and goals and stats, if we're going off stats, then you'd have to go with Lineker over Shearer.
I think if you were going with two up top, two conventional strikers, then it would be Shearer and Lineker for me. But I think if you're playing that formation,
Rooney's definitely got to be in.
Neither Shearer or Lineker can play that role. And I just think if you look at the careers of Lineker, actually, you're right, Lineker was brilliant for England. He was outstanding, great for Everton.
He was quality. I think that Darren played him a little bit too much before. I think he was more than a 6-yard poacher. He was a quality centre forward. You know, you don't go to Barcelona. You don't play in that great Everton side that nearly beat us in the FA Cup. You don't do them type of things if you're not a quality player. And I think he was outstanding as a centre forward.
Just on that, Thomas, that I never disrespected his play, and I think he was an excellent player. But I do think if you look at Lineker's goals, I don't think by his own admission he wouldn't score them outside the 18-yard box that Shearer does. I think what he does do, Lineker, he gives you something in and around the box that maybe Shearer couldn't give you. But I would take Shearer over Lineker every day of the week, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I've got to go with Shearer because I just think, again, as well, you think about later in his career, we was talking earlier about some of the goals he scored. He was brilliant. Lineker was a brilliant striker. He was like an Ian Rush, alternative to Ian Rush.
Yeah.
But it was all in the box. And although that's great, in the modern game, you don't get as much of that. And what you need is someone who's a bit more versatile. So you need someone who can, because I think what will happen in this formation as well is Rooney will end up playing as the second forward. So it will change up and you will get Rooney pushing up. And it all depends how the midfield plays as well. If we've got Beckham and Ashley Cole pushing on, then naturally Rooney will push on and make the second forward.
Yeah.
So then it'll go conventional anyway. And then I think you've got a solid forward line there. I think it looks like a great team.
I think it looks a great team.
So let's just walk through that again. So we ended up going for the 3-5-2 formation. And again, Thomas, you can argue the points about wing-backs and whether the 5-3-2 or the 3-5-2 is the type of wing-back you're looking for. But I think in the England formation, I think this one works really well. And then we've got Seaman in goal. We've got across the three at the back, Terry on the left, Campbell in the middle, Ferdinand on the right. And then across the middle on the left, we've got Ashley Cole. We've got Steven Gerrard in a holding midfield role. We've got Gazza and Scholes playing conventional midfield roles, although they're nothing other than nothing like conventional. And then you've got Beckham on the right. And then up front, you've got Rooney in the number 10, just in behind the forward, and Shearer as our lone striker. I think that's a solid team.
Can I throw something else that we haven't thought about?
Yeah.
Who would you like to manage it?
That's a great shout.
Oh,
you know, we haven't thought about this. It wasn't raised beforehand. Of all England managers gone, and the current one we've got now, who would you pick to manage this team, to go out and say, if you had to put money on that manager to win us something, who would get the job done?
Venables or Robson for me.
I'd go with Venables.
I'd go with Venables as well. The style of football he played at Euro 96 was a whisker away from getting us to the final.
Well, the other thing is Bobby Robson wouldn't have played that formation either.
No.
He'd have played much more conventional and he'd play much safer football, whereas Venables was a bit more aggressive. So, yeah, I'd go with Venables.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
Got a manager as well.
Okay, so I think that's a solid team. We'll share it on the on YouTube. We'll share it on Facebook. And the manager is Terry Venables. And then, tell us what you think. Tell us what you think of our picks. Who have we missed? Or does that formation not work? Do you think it should be something else? Let us know. I think it's really interesting that we landed on the 3-5-2 because we think actually we need to play a bit more attacking. Because I think that's something that England have lacked over the years.
Yeah, I agree.
And then just to call out the website that we're using here is buildlineup.com. We just found it online. You know, we're not the Carragher and Neville of lineups and Sky Sports, but we're doing our best. Okay, so we're back. So we'll share that team later on. So let's get to the part of the show that we get most comments about, that people look forward to every week. They love it. They talk about it in work. They call us up to ask us when the next one's coming. They're giving you nominations all the time, Thomas, and asking why people are not on there. Who is going to be on the Thomas Morris wall of hate this week? Who are you mostly hating?
Oh, deep breath. Right. This week, I'm mostly hating a Crystal Palace legend. Now, he's only famous for scoring a semi-final winner against the mighty Reds. It is the one and only Mr. Alan Pardew. I cannot stand the man.
Yeah.
He is a weapon.
I'm honestly. I'm with you.
So, he played for Palace. He scored against us in the semi-final of the FA Cup. He managed Reading. He's managed West Ham. He's managed Charlton. Basically, he's a prostitute of football. He goes around the league. You go anywhere for money. And generally, he goes in and they expect him to do a good job when he arrives. But he generally leaves having wrecked the club. I think he's only just got sacked from a Dutch team last week. He's absolutely useless. So he won Manager of the Year. I don't know how this happened in 2012. Manager of the Year for managing Newcastle. And then look what he done. He absolutely destroyed them. The fans hated him. He was only there because he was part of the Cockney Mafia and that stupid fool that runs Newcastle. He's about to sell them. He spat his dummy out. He was at Reading. He got put on gardening leave because he spat his dummy out and refused to manage them because he wanted to speak to West Ham. Are you having a laugh? You got sacked. You didn't get put on gardening leave. You got sacked. You're constantly kicking off on the touchline. I mean, I'm not a fan of Wenger, but he had a point. You jump in the technical area of the opposition. You jump in front of the bench. You jump in front of the subs. You celebrate like an absolute American football cheerleader. You absolute fool. He does me head in. So, he thinks he's a bit of an hard case. He's on the touchline. He only goes and headbutts one of the players on the field when they come to get the ball off him. Headbutts a player on the field. What I really, really don't like about him is his smug look on his face. Honestly, he's got that smuggy look on his face like he's just slept with your wife. Like he's just slept with your wife and then he's gone downstairs and he's sat at your table and he's asking it for a full English. Are you having a laugh? Sort your head out. Oh my God. He's got more fines, or he's give out more fines or received more fines than a traffic warden. Honestly. He's a smug bastard. He's an absolute smug, two-faced bastard. And that is why he's on my wall of hate.
Yeah. I hate Alan Pardew. Oh, God. When he headbutted that player on the sideline, you'd have taken that opportunity to clock him, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And do you know what I've just missed as well? And I missed this part and I should have put it in. Is dancing. Is fucking dancing on the touchline. Do you remember in the FA Cup final?
Yeah.
And he did that dance. And then Gerrard scored that beauty to take it to penalties and we beat them.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to say also, the season when they scored in the FA Cup final, when he scored and knocked us out the FA Cup semi-final, we'd beat them 9-0.
9-0, yeah.
A record. And he played. We beat them 9-0 that year. Honestly, there's so much stuff I could say about that man, but I'll probably get sued. I cannot stand Alan Pardew. He's on my wall of hate.
Yeah, love it. That's a
I like him.
Love it. He's no Neil Warnock, is he, Thomas?
No.
No, Neil Warnock.
No. You know what?
All right.
Warnock's good. He's decent.
That was a good one. Thanks for that, Tom. All right, Darren, we want another quiz question from you.
Right, so this is the quiz question of who am I? There's 5 clues, and the answer will go on Facebook in the next couple of days. Just have one guess, please don't Google, and it's just a bit of fun. So this player played in England and he played in Italy. He was selected for the PFA Team of the Year for 2 successive seasons. He scored only 1 goal, excluding own goals, in his professional career. He collected 59 international caps and he played for only 3 professional clubs. Who am I?
Oh.
Darren?
Yes, boss?
I'm a little bit disappointed that you didn't introduce it with the title, its full title. What's its title?
Well, it changes from week to week. So this week, I'm going to call it the Quizzy Quiz type question.
Yeah, good one. That's catchy, that does. All right, so we'll put the clues up on Facebook and YouTube, and then we'll do the answer later in the week. So that's our latest quiz question from Daz. Thanks. I really like that. That's a good one, but I have no idea who you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you off air when Thomas isn't listening.
No, you won't, because we tried to get it out the last one and you wouldn't tell us.
I've got it, Darren. I know the last one.
Don't tell us.
Well, I'll know because by the time this one goes out, you've already posted the answer.
Okay, then who is it?
Well, you should tell me first and I'll know them, right?
Let's leave it there. All right, Tom, what's your final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'd just like to say thank you very much for everyone that's getting in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter. It's probably the easiest way to get a point across to us or even get a shout out. Really liking it. We are really quick at getting back to you. Well, Simon is anyway. If I turn my phone on, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Done.
Darren?
Yeah, thanks for listening. I think that England side would have gone and won a World Cup, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it was excellent. But yeah, keep listening. It's great. Thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, loving it. Feedback's great. We're really enjoying doing it. No plans to stop when lockdown is over. In fact, we might all get together and do it in the same place. But we're really enjoying it. Loving the feedback from everyone. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, or at the website www.threemeninfootball.com. Tell us what you think, especially about that England side, because we are convinced that England side would win us a World Cup, even though they've all played and we didn't really get that close. So thank you. Another good episode. Hopefully you enjoy it. Let us know what you think, and we'll try and get another one out soon. All right. See you all in the next one. Thanks, lads.